Welcome back, everybody. We have a neat little tool to show you here today. This is another one from SEYVUM, and I just wanted to show you it in the case because I just like the way it's all separated there. But what this is officially, I'll show you on the side, it is a brushless oscillating tool. And what that means is the tip here oscillates back and forth very fast, and there's attachments that you can put on there to do everything from cutting to sanding and so on, and we'll pull all that stuff out here in a second. I just wanted to show what comes with it. You got your main unit there and the battery and the charger, and in these bags, so there's the main sanding head. Well, I'll open up all these bags and show you that separately. But this here on this side is the side handle, so that you can get two handles on this. Hold it on the side handle and on the base. And also came in the bag, on top of all that, was the instruction manual and the QR code for the registration, and this handy bag. Now so far I haven't been using the bags on these products, because I just leave them in the boxes because they have all the little cutouts to put them in. Anyway, let me pull all these attachments out and go over quickly what they all do. Okay, so I've got all the attachments laid out so we can go over them really quickly, show you what they are. So, okay, we'll start with this one. And all these, as you can see, they all have the same attachment point, and I will demonstrate how they attach in just a moment. But for sanding, you start by attaching this base unit, and as you can see, it's covered in Velcro, and in the back of the sanding pads have the other part of Velcro, and they just set on there and they hold. And you get three different sizes. You got 120 grit, and I think this is 80 grit, and then you have a 60 grit for the really rough stuff. Now, moving on, let's start with this one. Basically, most everything is for wood or plastic, but this one is for, and this would also be the one for cutting grout out around tile. I don't have any grout, but I do have a tile, just to see if we can cut the tile. Moving on, we have different sizes of these cutters for wood and plastic, depending on your application. Now this one's pretty neat. This is a scraper, so it oscillates back and forth as you're moving forward, and it's got the little bit of a curve on a knife blade there. This is for removing stickers or veneer or formica, or if you have like caulk or paint all over a surface. And that's what we'll be doing today. I've got an example of something where we can demonstrate that. And then here we have wood and plastic again, just in the curved pattern. And I don't know for sure what makes it better to be curved. Anyway, at this point, I'm going to lock this thing into the table and try to demonstrate how the attachments go on. Okay, so here's a look at how to attach the attachments. You have a lever on the back of the head here that pulls up. As you can see, when it's spring-loaded, when you pull it up, it pushes the center of the head out. And what that does is it allows you to slip the attachment in easily. There it goes. And so then at that point, you line it up with the pins, and then you release the lever, and it holds it. And now you're all set. Okay, so as you can see, I'm actually going to be starting with the sanding pad. What we like to do around here is we like to pick up stuff that is in kind of rough condition furniture and completely sand them and varnish them and make them look good again, like this one over here. And we had found this thing, and we're starting to work on it. And this seems to be a good opportunity to sand the top of it. As you can see, is awfully rough. And so what I've done is I've put the 80 grit, just to kind of speed things along, in 80 grit pad in there, which is medium grit, and we're going to sand this and see how it does. Okay, so of course a lot more work to go, but the battery is holding up just perfectly. As you can see, it does a really nice job. Just looking to get it level here, and got a little more to do on the front and so on. But this is a big project, certainly not going to finish it today for this video. Just wanted to show that it sands nice. And now I think we'll move on to some of these cutoff tools and get to some cutting. Okay, starting off here, I just started with that curved plastic cutting blade, because we're going to be cutting this plastic tube. This is a blower tube. It's about that thick, which, I mean, gosh, what am I, 4 or 5 millimeters? And it just seemed like this is a perfect tip for doing this. So let's give it a try. Alright, so that kind of turned into a video on worst possible way to clamp a tube for a plastic cutting video, but we got it done. As you can see, it's a rough cut, but it does get it cut, and then you can smooth it out some way after this. Anyway, let's move on to some wood cutting. Okay, so now I've clamped in this 4x4 post, and what I'm going to try to do is kind of demonstrate the versatility of this. Rather than just doing straight cuts like any saw would do, I'm going to try to make like a kind of a cube notch out of the corner here, just to see if I can do it. I think I can. And so I've switched to this this attachment here for wood. This is the wider one of the two. The thinner one was this one. And I don't know what the difference is between this one and that one. They're exactly the same width, just one has a silver base, and then this one has a black base. Just pointing that out. So let's try to make a cube-shaped notch out of this and see what happens. Okay, so that's enough to get you the basic gist. Applications like this come up constantly when you own a home and you're constantly having to do repairs and renovations. Make a little opening for something to fit through or to fit more snug or something like that. And here's a tool where, how deep is that? It's about 1.5 inches deep. So as I was plunging in from the top, I could have gone in about a whole 1.5 inches, as well as from the side, or anywhere you want to go, to make an opening. So anyway, that was with wood. It did it very well, but just to illustrate this idea, I got a piece of drywall that I want to show you, because that happens constantly in a house. Okay, so here we have a piece of drywall, and this is going to illustrate, now when you have a house, this is what all your walls are made out of in your house, usually. And what happens all the time is, for some reason, you need to get into the wall, where there's a plumbing leak in there, or something electrical, or you hear a noise, or there's just a lot of applications where that happens. And so I want to illustrate how easy it is to make a nice, neat square that can be replaced. You can put the square right back in, so when you're done with what you had to do, rather than hacking away at the wall with hacksaws or hammers or drills or what have you, as we've all done in years past. So let's try to make a nice, neat square. I'm going to use this one, but I have a feeling I'm supposed to be using this one. We'll see. Okay, so yeah, that is the right tip for that. That way you can make nice sharp corners there. And it's kind of funny right there at the end. It wasn't my intention to make it an actual hinged door, but it's still held on by the paper there. And so we got this little door where you can see what's going on the other side of the wall, and then just, close the door. But it illustrates my point. What I wanted to say is you have exactly the piece that fits in there now, and it'd be easier to, if you're done with the repair that you had to do behind the wall, now you have a nice neat way to close it up rather than a big mess. You could even make it into a little access point if it's something where there's pipes in there all the time. Hang a picture over this, you know what I mean? So that you always have access to what's going on in a problem area with plumbing or electrical or something like that. Anyway, that worked out fantastically well. So let's move on. Let's cut some metal with this. I've been really anxious to get to this one. So I've got a thick piece of metal. Let's do it. Alrighty, so since the last scene, I kind of made a mistake, and I went and I put this blade on, and I thought I had remembered in the instructions, but I remembered incorrectly. I thought that was for cutting metal, and so I tried to cut this pipe. You can see how far I got there, and what I've done is I've just damaged the attachment. You see where all the abrasive has come off? On this side anyway. I've still got the other side, so I can demonstrate the cutting tile. I just wanted to go over the tips as per the actual instructions, which is what I should have done. And as it turns out, the same ones that I'm cutting the wood and plastic with are also for metal. And so I will try this again with the metal tip, but for right now I will use the remaining half that I have abrasive still on and try to cut this tile. Okay, so that is working out quite a bit better when you're using the masonry attachment for masonry and not metal. It's a nice clean cut there. And I wanted to show a close-up of the bit. I'm calling it the bit. I don't know what to call it. But I just wanted to show, of course I destroyed this side on the metal. But I just wanted to show that the ceramic is not destroying the edge. So it will cut more than one piece of tile. Now I know what you're wondering. What does it look like on the other side? I'm kind of curious myself. I haven't flipped it over yet. A few chips. I wonder if the tape trick works, because if you have a laminate on wood and you're cutting through it, to keep it from chipping, you put tape on the path where you're going. I wonder if it would work on ceramic. I have no idea. I don't know why I'm saying that. Inviting criticism is what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the metal cutting blade back on, and we're going to try to cut through that pipe. Alrighty, so that's as far as I'm going to go with that. I want to start by showing that it's okay. The attachment is okay. The teeth are still there. It's not going fast, and I feel as though this pipe is a bit thick for it, but it is doing it. It is all the way through. Let's see if I can show you the other side. There's sunlight coming through, and it won't focus, and so on. So basically, it will cut metal, but I would probably refrain from cutting thick metal. I would do just thin metal, aluminum and stuff like that. But that concludes the metal cutting test. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to demonstrate this scraper, and let me get the things for that. Alright, so I got the scraper on there, and what I'm going to be using it on, I've got this piece of baseboard that I found. It's got caulk still on it, caulk and paint, and theoretically you're supposed to be able to run along the edge and just peel that off. And I think that is mainly for like metal, like if you got stuff all over metal. So I don't know if this is going to dig into the wood or not. And of course we got these nails in the way, cause all kinds of trouble. And we'll just see what happens. After that I've got a paint stirrer that's got paint all over it, and we'll see if it'll strip that off. I don't know. Let's give it a try. So, wow, that worked. That totally worked. Now, of course, you do have to be careful on wood, especially. It's kind of feeling that you got to develop, digging into the wood like that, as you can see where I dug into the wood really bad in some sections. But in the one area where it was going really well, you can see it's clean. Look at that. So let's try that piece of wood that's got the paint on it. Okay, yeah, so just like I was saying, you got to be careful not to dig into the wood. But, so you got to develop a feel for it. Once you develop the feel for it, it goes right through it. As you can see there, and you saw there. And that is really neat. I've never actually used anything like that. But as much as it's a little tricky to develop a feel for it, I mean, try to do that with a hammer and a chisel. Well, I mean, paint sticks, usually just throw them away anyway. Anyway, let's wrap this all up and go to the next scene. Okay, wrapping it up here. Here's all the things that we did with it, if you can remember, including the sanding over there. But I wanted to point out just briefly here that that was actually all on one battery charge. And you may be wondering, well, how much is left? So it has an indicator here where you can check your level. When you press that, we still have 3 out of 4 bars. And that was with all that wasted time when I was trying to cut through this with the masonry bit. So that combined with all the sanding, and there was quite a bit of cutting on this one as well, means that longevity is very long. Gosh, it probably runs for an hour. Anyway, I've got to say, this is the third product that I've reviewed for SEYVUM, and they have all been very good quality. They really have a good feel to them. They feel like they have, what do you call it, kind of a heavy-duty feel to them. You know, no, not rattling, and no tolerances or loose or anything like that. Everything's tight and working perfectly. And I'm impressed. I'm still beside myself on this fillet, this paint fillet, where you can actually save your paint sticks now. Anyway, that will wrap it up for this one. Appreciate y'all watching. Now, so all the links and discount codes and things like that will be down in the description and in the top pinned comment to go get you one if you're interested. I highly recommend it. We'll see you next time. Later.